All right, everyone. Welcome in. Nice to see a lot of the Scottish press on here today. Just so you guys know, if you guys have a question, if you can just use the raise your hand feature as you see Will Palashik doing here, and I'll do our best to work around. What we're going to do today is we are going to introduce Scott to our Charlotte media. So we're going to work to our local media first, and then with whatever time we have left, I will work to as many Scottish journalists as I possibly can. As we typically do on press conferences, let's start with Willie Pete, and then we'll go from there.
Afternoon, Scott. How are you? Welcome again, belatedly, to Charlotte.
Thank you very much. I'm very well. How are you?
Fantastic. How do you feel like your transition to American soccer has been over the course of your first couple of weeks of not only training, but your first couple of games as well?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. The first couple of weeks was obviously just training prior to the game until I got the visa sorted and was capable of playing. And I think, you know, going forward, that's going to help me a lot. In the 2 or 3 weeks behind the scenes, I really got to know my teammates, really got to know them on and off the pitch. So hopefully going forward now, we can go full steam ahead and hopefully get the results that we all want.
How big of an influence was your former teammate from Burnley, Ashley Westwood, in not only having you come here, but he mentioned in his own recruitment that he really wanted to come to America. How much of that was also maybe a desire of yours in order to try and make America a part of your career?
Yeah, it was huge. I've said before that when I started representing Canada at 24 years of age, 25, predominantly at that time, all the players were mostly MLS based. So I really got to know about, you know, the league and the traveling and everything that comes around with it. So it's one thing that's never, you know, I've not took for granted. I know how difficult it is, but obviously I know everything about it. So it was always a desire. I was close on a couple of occasions to come before in my career. And now I'm so happy that I've done it. In terms of Ashley, it was very pivotal on this transition for me on and off the pitch, even before I came here. I think the GM and the manager sort of leaned on him, to talk about me as a player and a person. So obviously me sat at this seat, he's done okay for me because he's obviously said the right things, and hopefully I can back it up and on and off the pitch. I'm here to represent this football club, and I feel as if I can do it in a good way.
Lastly, from me, I know it's a small sample size, but what have you noticed is similar to leagues you've played in MLS, and what do you feel like is different about this league than others you played in, whether it's Championship, Premier League, etc.?
Yeah, I think as you go, you know, and the Premier League in particular is so technical. You know, you could think that you're so comfortable in games and very very clear and methodical, and then, you know, the caliber of the players, as soon as they turn it on and the sense of moment, then it just goes like that, and before you know it, you can lose a game 2 or 3-0. So and the EPL obviously stands out because the best players play there. In terms of Scotland, it was physical as well. We were used to at Rangers to have 80% of the ball and try and break teams down on a weekly basis in the SPL. It was a bit different, obviously, going to Europe and playing against Celtic, where you need to share the ball and really look after the opposition in terms like that. The first 2 games that I've represented here, I've really enjoyed it. Very, very physical, very, very athletic. And as I think is the more fitter that I get, I'll be more accustomed, and that transition will come more natural for me to get up and hopefully do the things that I do well.
Appreciate you being here and look forward to seeing you more.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Will. I saw Jess's hand. Jess, we can come to you if you have something.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Scott. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I wanted to touch on what attributes of yourself as a player you feel make yourself so useful in a league like MLS.
Well, I think in the first 2 or 3 games which I've been seeing, I think we just need to score goals at certain times. I think we've been in every game that we've played. You know, we've drawn a lot of games within the last 4 to 6 weeks, and I think that you need to score at the right time to win these games, because the transitions, you know, you're always going to get the transitions, but it's about picking your moments. And that's also what I think is the best attribute that I've got, arriving in the box late and really taking the moments when it comes, and hopefully I can continue to do so.
I know on social media you've talked about the crowd and how excited you were to play at the Bank of America Stadium. What were your first impressions getting to start in front of that fan base?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a very European atmosphere. It was absolutely rocking. Absolutely loved it. You know, we were disappointed at the end of the game with the result. Obviously, going up 2-0, you shouldn't really lose the games. I thought we were so comfortable in the first half there, but the teams are good, and it goes to show that you come off lightly, then you're going to get hurt. So hopefully it's a learning curve for us to go forward, and hopefully with this fan base behind us, we can get the results that we need.
And then one last one, heading into Canada, does this game against Montreal have a little bit of a different feeling for you based on your experience playing for the Canadian national team?
Not really. No, not really. I wouldn't say so. I think every game is, you put pressure on yourself. You put emphasis on yourself to help, first of all, help the team, and second of all, to try and have a moment that you remember and make people remember. So I wouldn't say any game's got a bigger feeling than any. I've always says that through my career, the biggest game is the next game, and this one in Montreal is as big as it's ever been.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, thanks, Jess. I see Michael's hand. Michael.
Hey, Scott. Just wanted to ask, obviously MLS is going to be very different culturally on the pitch from stuff that you've had before. How have you found transitioning into Charlotte? Obviously a very different city from Glasgow, but has there been any kind of culture shocks for you off the pitch?
Well, I've not needed to wear a hat for once. In Glasgow, I've been wearing a hat every time to try and go under the radar. So I've not had to do that yet. No, listen, in the Gold Cup in particular, when we sort of went around the States, I absolutely loved it because you were seeing different things and different cultures within America. So I absolutely loved that. And this city is taken me by surprise to, I've seen the full extent of it now. I played here against Cuba, 2019 Gold Cup, I think. So I knew the city. I had to get out a couple of days, but spending 3 or 4 weeks here, I've really enjoyed it. I've now got a house. We're settled in a house. My family's over here, so hopefully we can really enjoy it together. And you enjoy it by winning games of football. So hopefully we can do that.
I was going to ask you about the anonymity factor as well. I mean, Charlotte's got a big fan base. You're not going to stay anonymous for too long in the city, but did that factor into like having been in the microscope with the Old Firm and everything the last couple of years? Even if you'd come to a Canadian club, you'd have been under the microscope here. Did that side of it appeal to you a little bit?
Well, it kind of does in the back end there. When you're here, but it wasn't a factor making a decision. The decision was to try and extend my career at a fantastic football club and different cultures to bring my kids into. That was the thing that I wanted. I wanted to stay at Rangers. That's what, we had an amazing 5 years, but all good things come to an end. And, I've really landed on my feet here in terms of this city and the fan base, the stadium, what we play at, the training facility that we've now got here is as good as anybody. So, I'm absolutely ecstatic that I'm here. And as I say, I really just want to get going now and try and make this fan base happy.
Just one last thing. Although I'm Scottish, I'm here in Vancouver in Canada. The national team stint that you had when you retired from international football, you said it was because you wanted to concentrate on playing domestically with Rangers. Now that you're over in North America, would you be open again to Canadian national team call-ups, or has that ship very much sailed for you?
No, I've always said, at that time it was such a difficult decision for me because I was captain at that team at that time. The players that then went to the World Cup was just starting to come through into fruition. The sort of the standards and the team ethic that we had back then was what you've seen at the World Cup this year. So it was a difficult decision, but as I said, I was desperate. I was desperate to win the league for Rangers, and the travelling did take its toll at that time. There's no doubt about it. Coming back on Thursday nights and having to play 12:30s and sometimes in AstroTurf, sometimes in Old Firm games, and they're difficult to play. Everybody thinks it's easy to play at Rangers and Celtic. It's no. It's definitely no. You need to be a certain player and a certain calibre of person to really get going. So it was a bit of adjustment, but now I'm here. I'm always open. I've still got an amazing friendship with most of the players there. and the manager. I've got full respect, and we've got a fantastic relationship. So you never say never in life. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then I'm extremely lucky to do so anyway.
Cheers, Scott. All the very best in Charlotte and MLS.
You too.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. I don't see any more hands. Happy to work our way into Scottish press here. If anyone has any follow-up questions. Yeah, Joshua, go ahead. And we'll go to Andy after.
Hi, Scott. How you doing?
Hi, Josh. All right.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Just want to take you back to that reception you got on the last home game of the season against Hearts. What did that mean for you? Because it looked like obviously a really memorable moment for you in front of the fans for one last time.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. You know, my family still talk about it now. But I have to say, I did get a wee bit lucky. I got a tiny little bit lucky because I had to do a Sky interview straight away as we were doing the lap of honour. Obviously, myself and the 4 others that was leaving. So I done that, and then I got to do it myself and really milk the out of it. So I got to do it myself, and it was a moment that, you know, I was so thankful for. I think, you know, anybody at a size of, if you come to a club the size of Rangers, you want to make an impression, and you know, you want that respect and friendship to be replicated both ways, and it certainly is. And it was an amazing moment for me, one that I'll never forget. But I did get a wee bit lucky with that interview, so we need to thank Sky for that.
Having had a little bit of time out of it now, how do you reflect not only on your time, but the amount of work that's gone on this summer? Obviously, one of your former teammates, Liam Balogun, go back to the club today, and I think he's the 7th signing. A lot of work going on the club this summer.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I spoke to the manager at length, probably from the first day he came in, but more so maybe February time, right coming up to the end of the season, and he was on it. You know, obviously Ross Wilson leaving, going to Forest, it put more onus on him to bring the players in. You know, I think in my understanding, I think the manager's got more than 24 hours in a day, because he just gets things done, and he finds time for everything. He's personable. He's a fantastic man, a family man, and he's obsessed with football, and he's obsessed with Glasgow Rangers. So, you know, have him as a manager, I think every fan has to count themselves lucky, because I think there's good times coming. His backroom staff as well, and James Bisgrove stepping up, John Bennett stepping up to the chairman. So I think you're in good hands now, and hopefully we can see the best of it.
Yeah, and just finally for me, what is it about, you know, having worked with Michael Beale for a number of years makes him special, and how do you rate Rangers' chances this season now that he's obviously got that full pre-season to work with the team?
Yeah, I think that's massive. I think it's huge. I think if you ask any player, even out with a manager, any player, you know, pre-season is the most important thing. You know, probably nobody really likes to do it, but you know how important it is. It's one of them, and for a manager to get 25, 30 players with young boys coming in a pre-season tour and really putting your ideas across on a daily basis, in a secluded part. I know they're in Germany at this minute in time, will only stand them in good stead. You know, I always rate Rangers' chances to win the league. Came up short on a couple of occasions. Obviously, last season as well was disappointing, but certainly with the manager there, they're as good as anybody. And I think with the new players coming in, I've seen a few of them, and obviously still speak to some of the boys, and they've really seen that they've recruited really well. So, as I say, it takes it's all well and good doing it in training. It's all well and good doing it in things that don't matter. That's why you sign for clubs like Rangers, to really have it in moments, big players step up, and hopefully we've signed, you know, 6 or 7 of them this year.
Thanks. All the best, man.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. We'll go to Andy Devlin and then Andy Newport after that.
Hi, Scotty. You all right?
Andy, how are you?
Okay, pal. I mean, obviously taking you back. I mean, you were right in at the start of Steven Gerrard's revolution, if you like. Do you sense, talking to the boys that you know so well, Scott, there's that same level of excitement, you know, obviously with Michael and the additions that have been made over the summer? Yeah,
huge, absolutely. I think even at Steven's time, he had such a big impact, the manager. And I remember on a couple of occasions doing a couple of couple of bits of press that he always stated that he wanted to be the manager, and he wanted to be a manager at a club that size. So that's always been his aspiration to do that. And I think he's replicated the sort of training, and in terms of off the ball, I know they're doing runs that we used to do and we used to hate, but my God, they helped you So I know they're doing that at this, as I say, is at that part of Germany, which hopefully brings them together. They'll be as fit as ever. And with a manager like that, he's just obsessed. He's obsessed with fine details. He'll be in a meeting room really backing it up, because there's only obviously so much you can do in a football pitch before your fitness levels drop. So it's important that you also do the video to really keep your energy, but keep your eye in and make it as clear and as professional as always. Also,
you touched on it there with the American lads, Scott, that you were desperate to get 55. You were desperate to win that title, and the pressure was really on Stephen and you guys that summer. Have you, now that you're away from the club, reflected on that and just the enormity of what that meant to so many people around the world, I feel like?
Yes and no, Andy. I don't think you'll ever really know what you've done in your career until you really finish, and they days and you don't get up and go into a changing room, and then you can really reflect. Obviously at the time, what we did, you knew how big it was, but then again you've got 3 weeks off and you go again. So I think if you ask Alan McGregor, I think now he's reflecting on his full career, and from when he was 18-year-old until now, I think that's the time for reflection. But there's always the next game, there's always the next training session. So you do, but you don't. Aye.
Yeah, just finally for me, I know Josh touched on it there. Delighted to see your big pal Leon Balogun back at the club. A great addition, isn't it?
Fantastic. He knows the place inside out. I think the fans really took to him. The manager obviously knows him, works with him twice, signs him twice. So I think for Leon, he's going to fit in there. At the time again, as competition for places, 4 centre halves in there now. So I think Leon, with his experience, his legs, and obviously his temperament, he can play for Rangers no problem. And if he doesn't, then he'll sit on the bench and really push the starting 11. So fantastic, and absolutely delighted for him.
Thanks, Scott. All the best.
Cheers, Andy. See you, mate.
Okay, Andy Newport, Mark Wilson after that.
Hi, Scott. You well, pal?
Hi, Andy. How are you, mate?
No bad, mate. No bad. Just want to take you back when Michael Beale sort of broke the news that you were going to be sort of leaving the club last season. He sort of spoke about it was such a discussion that sort of tugged in his heartstrings. It was probably the toughest one of the decisions he had to make. Can you just give us a wee bit of an insight into how that decision went? He spoke about, it was a discussion around how much game time you were going to get. Was it as much your decision to leave as it was his, or can you just sort of break that down for us?
Aye, it was together. We made the decision, Andy. I think when you get older, you sort of think of the game differently. But the desire and the sort of appetite to play football on a consistent basis has never left me. So, I was sort of coming on 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here, half an hour sometimes. So, it's difficult to make impressions. And even since the manager came in, the 2 games, I think it was 2 games that I started, didn't really do it either. So, it's difficult when you're playing 10 minutes here and then getting asked to play in 90 minutes, because the game is different at that time. So, and then you're playing in AstroTurfs and stuff like that. So it did get a bit difficult. You want to grab your chance. So when we went and seen him 4 or 5 times in a small space of time. And it was the best decision. There's no doubt about it. It was the best decision for everybody. Although obviously it was hard for me, my family, and obviously the manager. I think it's the best decision. The club has moved on now in great hands, recruited really well, and obviously I'm, as I fell on my feet here in terms of on and off the pitch. So I think we're delighted.
I know you're enjoying your time in America, but I saw you said previously you feel intent to be back at Rangers someday. I think I've seen you've just there's some reports that you're trying to buy a pub or something around the corner of Fibrooks. I mean, is that all part of the grand plan to get yourself back to Glasgow at some point down the line?
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe it's no, Andy. You don't know about that. You don't know. I can't say live in a press conference, but in some capacity, I would love to go back to that football club. I think if you ask anybody, if you get the opportunity to go there, even people that you guys don't know that work at the club, feel extremely lucky to be part of it. So if anything comes up in a coaching capacity, helping the young boys, even in the first team in a coaching thing, they would jump at the chance. But I think that's a few years away from me now. I've got a lot more on my legs and a lot more big moments, hopefully.
And if you forgive one more light-hearted one before I go, am I right in thinking that your brother was a Celtic fan? I just wonder that sort of family dynamic worked out while you were sort of playing at Ibrox down here? And is that now repaired itself now that you've left?
Oh, that's never been a problem. That's never been a problem. We're still best mates, love each other to death, and that will never come between us.
Brilliant, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks.
You too, Andy.
Okay, Mark Wilson, Michael Grant on deck.
Hi, Scott. Congratulations on the move, mate. It's a terrific club in City. Listen, just to take you back, obviously, again, to a wee bit more Rangers chat, but just obviously in the last 6 months of last season, after Todd Cantwell and Nico Raskin came in, obviously two different faces in the midfield, and those guys progressed during the second half of last season. As someone who's kind of been seen and done it in the Rangers midfield, how impressed were you by them, and do you feel they're ready to take the next step and kind of become almost leaders within the squad next season?
Yeah, without doubt, with the two of them. I think as football players, you sort of subconsciously judge each other. I was getting judged my first training session here, and you do it. How's their touch, how's their way to pass, how did they get on it, how did they scan their shoulder? There's loads of little things that you look for in a football player. And with A2 in particular, obviously, if everybody sort of knew Todd, he was more sort of in the public eye, obviously playing in England. But in terms of Nico, his first two training sessions, it was sensational. You could really see that he's built to play at a club the size of Rangers. I could see him playing there for years and really, really having he's captain material at such a young age. You could really lean on him. He takes the ball anywhere. He's comfortable with the ball. Great temperament to have in the middle of the pitch. He gets about it. So fantastic acquisition. In terms of Todd, he's adding goals. That was the first thing that I said to him there. When he came to the football club, it's all well and good, looking amazing, but are you going to score? You're going to make big moments. Who's going to have them? Because if he doesn't have them, then somebody else is going to get them. And his play deserves big moments, and he's starting to get them. So I think that really sunk into him. And he's been amazing. What a signing he's been. I think with a full pre-season with this manager getting fitter, I think we'll see the best of Todd this season.
Because as well, obviously talent's a huge part of it. You need the personality as well to succeed at a club like Rangers. Do you see that in both those guys, despite their different ages and different stages of development?
Yeah, and completely different boys. Nico's a wee bit more quiet, Todd's a wee bit more outgoing, but they've got it. They've got it. I said that earlier. You need to be a certain person to go on a pitch, and might not be the best football player, you might not be the best silkiness, but you need something that outstands you with everybody else, to take the ball in front of 50,000 when 48,000 might not think you deserve to be there. That's the big thing about playing with the clubs at these sizes. And you need to be a certain person. They too have got it in abundance. So as I say, pre-season will be massive for them. Hopefully we can hit the ground running and bring the league back.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Scott. All the best there.
You too, Mark. Thanks, mate.
All right, Michael Grant.
Hi, Scotty. Congratulations as well on the move.
Thank you, Michael.
To go back to when the news came out about the departures from Ibrox, there was quite a lot of fans were sort of expressing surprise and disappointment that your name was on the list. I mean, did you pick that up? And also, when you say you were frustrated really about not getting enough game time, did you think that you had more in you to maybe have another season at Rangers at the top level?
Yeah, but it all stems down to playing consistently, Michael. That was my thing. I want to consistently play. I want to wake up on a Sunday morning sore for the output that you put on a Saturday. That's the best feeling, when you know that you've done something and you've represented the club and you might have had a big moment. It's the greatest feeling to have. And I wasn't getting that on a consistent basis. So that was the biggest thing. I still feel as if I've got big moments. Temperament. Technically, I think I've still got it, and hopefully I can show it in a different league. But there's no ill feelings whatsoever. Me and the manager have still got a very strong and an amazing relationship, so no hard feelings at all on my behalf.
You can throw back this one away if you like, but there was a wee bit of social media chat the other day about you not wanting to get involved in a huddle before the game. Is that right? Was that an accurate one, or was that not?
I don't know what that was, but it's Glasgow, so it's going to become something, innit? That's how they do it. It was one of them. I don't even know. I don't think any ex-Rangers players ever participated in a huddle as such, but it is what it is. We're all over the age of 12 and we can get on with things now, can't we?
Do you have to call it something else over there?
No, just in a different accent.
Thanks, Scotty.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, guys, we have a couple minutes left, so I'd like to get to everyone. We'll go to Matthew, Lindsay, and then we'll end with Gary.
Hi, Scott. Thanks very much for doing this. Just to pick up, to follow up on Mark's question there about Todd and Nico and the impact that they made after coming in January. I mean, it both made an amazing and immediate impact. How much confidence does that give you that these players that are coming in are of a sufficient standard and will be able to meet the expectations that there are at Rangers? Because recruitment's a massive part of our modern football, and they got the recruitment right in January. Does that give you confidence that these guys will cut it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Recruitment is, you're only as good as who you recruit, because players are going to go out the door, and you need to sign them with good players. I think you can never underestimate the scouting department at any club. I've seen from first hand how intricate it is and how difficult it is to sign players at any club, never mind somewhere the size of Rangers. So there's so many sort of elements to bringing a player. But for me, it's the attitude, and it's the will to be a good team player that outwits everybody else. I mean, obviously, if you're signing at Rangers, you're a good player, but you need something a wee bit different. As I say, it's that calibre, what you've got inside you, stands you in within 2 or 3 training sessions. They two boys really impressed me. And with pre-season, they're certainly going to take it to a new level.
People can sometimes be quite derogatory about the standard of Scottish football and the standard of the Premiership, but I mean, you've played in the Premier League down south. You've played international football. You've played in the Premiership, and these guys that they've brought in, that they've got Premier League experience, Serie A experience, Bundesliga, Eredivisie. Do they need that? Do they need to be of that standard and have that behind them to cope with it?
Yeah, without a doubt, because you're playing 4 or 5 different competitions per season, so there's going to be different players that are suited to different competitions. So, as you said, you just reeled off some exciting talent there and fantastic leagues, and they're all at that football club. So it can only help the manager to achieve what he wants to do. It's the manager's job to now glue everything together and get a real team ethic and hopefully have a fantastic season. But Scottish football in general does get a hard time. But I've watched some games in England that aren't particularly fascinating, and I think it's quite that everybody's very quick to judge Scottish football, but it is what it is, and I don't think it will ever change.
Just finally, from me, if I may, you beat Celtic in the last Old Firm game of last season, and it was a meaningless match, and the league had been won. But how important do you think that performance and result will be for the guys that are still there psychologically? And when you first went to Rangers and you were looking to sort of shift the balance of power, how important were the results against Celtic in that process? Yeah,
well, in terms of the league, it was certainly meaningless. But their games are never meaningless. People live and die by their results and live and die by their 2 football clubs. So they never mean nothing. They mean something. Maybe in the league they meant nothing. But it always means something. So psychologically, it's foresight. That's something that's going to happen going forward. You never really know. All you can do is beat who's in front of you. They did that day, but I never won the league. So you need to regroup and go again.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All the best.
All right, last one with Gary.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Just one from me. Obviously, you've kind of answered a lot of the questions, but was there any sort of real transfer interest from kind of other Scottish Premiership clubs after you sort of left Rangers? Obviously, you're settling and now at Charlotte FC, but was there any sort of concrete interest after you kind of left Rangers from the Scottish Premiership?
There was, mate. Yeah, I won't name you who it was, but there was a few. I spoke to a few of the managers. That was a big decision because my wife wasn't sort of fully aware that like the dynamics of change and everything. Obviously, she's moving countries. She's not that daft, but in terms of everything, the little things that you don't see moving countries and moving to the other side of the world is different. So she was more than happy for me to stay in Glasgow. The kids were at school there, so that was going to be good. But as I say, I think I'm suited to coming over here and really representing a football club over here at this size. So there was a lot of interest, but I wanted to broaden my horizons and give my kids something that you can talk about in years to come.
All right, thanks very much.
Right, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Much appreciated. We'll have Christian Latanzio on at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Cheers, Latanzio.
Cheers, Scott.